everyone, and welcome to episode number 4, I think. It's been a while, of the Nordic Leblock podcast. It is Saturday, February 2nd, or 3rd. I'm already getting mixed up. 3rd, 2024. I am one of your hosts here on Nordic 97, joined with the Leblock James. How are we doing?
We are refreshed. We're kind of tired, but we're also refreshed at the same time, so we're doing good.
Coming home from a cruise, which is why you didn't see episodes for 2 weeks. Apologies for that, but yeah. Anyways, we're just gonna get straight into the stuff here because thankfully we honestly didn't miss a whole lot. There wasn't a whole lot of things that happened between the last episode and this episode, except for in this past week. There's been plenty of trades, plenty of signings, and of course the All-Star break also happened too. So we're going to start off with the trades because I think the trades are more important and way more fun to talk about than just Tate McRae. So let's get into it here. Starting off with the trade that happened on Wednesday between the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames. I'm just going to say the trade details and then we'll get into the thoughts. So the Vancouver Canucks acquired forward Elias Lindholm from the Calgary Flames in exchange for forward Andrei Kuzmenko, defenseman Hunter Brucevic, defenseman Yoni Yermo, a 2024 first-round pick, and a conditional 2024 fourth-round pick. So, Leblock, I will go to you. What are your initial thoughts on this deal?
Here are my initial thoughts. Hang on. What the hell am I going to do with this now? What am I going to do with this now?
Yeah, for the audio listeners, Leblock has a Kuzmenko jersey. So that is why he just said that.
So I think this is one of those trades. It's like a where were you moment. I know I was at LCA when me and my buddies were talking about the trade, but it's a gamble for Vancouver. It's a very big gamble because there's no extension with Elias Lindholm, but you have a legit number 2 center now behind Pettersson. And did Vancouver give up a lot? Yeah, they did. Kuzmenko, you could say, oh, Calgary got Kuzmenko, but Kuzmenko is not the player he was last year. Kuzmenko going back to Calgary for his max salary, and they weren't really playing Kuzmenko. So him going to Calgary is probably a plus for Calgary. It's also a negative because of the salary, but it's a plus for Calgary in my opinion. It was a first Kuzmenko, and then you get a Hunter I cannot pronounce that man's name. He is an all-star defenseman for the Kitchener Rangers. He is putting, I think he has like 70 or 60 points in like 40 games in the O. He's a really good defenseman for the Kitchener Rangers, and I think he's going to be a great NHL defenseman for Calgary, so that's a big W for Calgary. And then I have Yuri Yermo, he's in Europe. I am not too familiar with his game. But yeah, I think Calgary did really good. I think Vancouver did very well as well, but once again, you don't see trades often that trade with rivals get like a big package like this. So I give Calgary an A+. I give Vancouver I'm going to give them a B+ for this trade.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely a gamble. However, when you're Vancouver and you're first in the Pacific, with that team, their goal is to go for a Stanley Cup with this roster. Now, I think this helps out a lot. It stacks their forward core. They have a really good forward core now. Lindholm's probably going to be your second line center. You're going to move Miller up to the first line to play with Pettersson, and the other guy's missing my radar. But yeah. Definitely, I think it's a good deal for Vancouver. It's a little bit of an overpay, but it shows that it's a seller's market this year. And I think with Calgary, you can say that Kuzmenko is not the player that he was last year. However, he's been scratched numerous times, and he's also just not. Tuca doesn't like him. I think in Calgary, even though it was on his no trade list, I think even Conroy messaged Kuzmenko and told him what kind of player he was going to be in Calgary, and I guess that's swifted Kuzmenko's opinion, and therefore he's now a Calgary Flame. Brucevic, I don't know a whole lot about him. I didn't talk about him in my prospect pool overviews in the summer, so he's been a really good, as from what I've heard, he's been the Adam Fox of the Ontario Hockey League, which if you're Calgary, you're either really happy about that, or you're terrified because you're going to have to trade him again. But anyways, I don't know a whole lot about Yermo. I haven't heard anything in regards to that. Probably just a B, C level prospect. He's a defensive defenseman from what I can tell. Hasn't done too much in the Finnish leagues. And then a first round pick is obviously great, and then a fourth round pick would be great too. So yeah, overall I'd probably give it the same grades. I give Calgary an A, and then I give Vancouver maybe a B-. I think both teams made up pretty well in this deal. But yeah, for sure. Definitely, I think Calgary got the win here.
This trade makes it sends to the players that Vancouver, our time is now. We're not waiting anymore. We got to go for it right now.
I think a lot of it is that I think they want to show Pettersson that they're willing to go all in here in Vancouver. Yes. Now, Vancouver has had a history of trading picks before, or just trading picks in general. But I think this trade really defines that they're going to go for it this year. And I think I think a lot of it is too just to show Pettersson that we're ready to go and we're going to win now in Vancouver. And I really hope too that this isn't just a one-off season. I really hope they do well after this year too, because they're a really fun team to watch. And I hope it's not one of those instances where they do really well and then they're just mid. I really hope it's not that.
No, Vancouver's been one of the funnest teams to watch this season. So definitely, I hope they can be dominant for this the next couple of years. But yeah, and then Lindholm's going into this saying, "Hey, I get to go play for a contender. Then either I can, if I like it here, I could stay, or I can go pick my destination." And yeah, I think it's a win-win for both sides, personally.
Yeah, I agree. You want to move on now to the next trade?
Yes, let's go on to the next trade.
All right, cool. So the next trade happened yesterday at the time recording of this podcast, 2 days ago when this releases. But the Winnipeg Jets and the Calgary Flames, the Montreal Canadiens, made the trade here as the Jets acquired forward Sean Monahan from the Montreal Canadiens in exchange for a 2024 first-round pick and a 2027 conditional third, which will go to them if Winnipeg wins the Cup. So basically just probably a first-round pick, more or less, but not to say they won't win the Cup. Anywho, Leblock, what are your thoughts on this deal?
It's a seller's market. There's not. I think in any other year, I don't think I would trade a first for Sean Monahan. But you put him on that Winnipeg team, their center core is not the cream of the crop. So Sean Monahan's going to be your second line center in Winnipeg. He has really good defensive numbers. I think those Winnipeg players he's going to play with, those numbers are just going to keep getting better. He clicks with good players. Like when him and Suzuki were playing together, it was just bam, 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 bam. So I have a feeling that this trade's going to work out for Winnipeg. Monahan's on his quest to play for every Canadian franchise now, and I got to applaud him for it.
Yeah.
So
3 out of 7.
Yeah. So
he's going to Ottawa in the offseason.
67's legend, but yeah, I think it's a good trade for Winnipeg. I still am uneasy about the price, but it is a seller's market this year, so I'm going to let it slide. But I think Montreal, though, made out like bandits. You got Monahan with a first, then you trade Monahan for a first. All the Habs fans say it. Went woos.
I agree.
Yeah.
I like this deal for Winnipeg. Even though people look at it from the top and say, "Oh, it's Monahan. He's irrelevant at this point. He's injury prone." Which, yeah, that might be true, and we don't know what's going to happen when he gets there. However, Monahan's been playing some really good hockey this year, but people also got to keep in mind that the center depth for the deadline this year is very shallow. There isn't a whole lot of centers out there to go around. And I think that and I saw this a lot, I think that when Lindholm went off the market, I think that a lot of people were scrambling for Sean Monahan. There were a few teams in the mix coming up until yesterday. Even reported like 30 minutes before he got dealt. There was 2 teams that were fighting for him, but eventually the lucky team to land it was Winnipeg. And again, Montreal made out great, got 2 first-round picks essentially. I think that you could argue it's an overpay, but it's a seller's market, so I'm perfectly fine with it for Winnipeg. I think it was a really good deal overall.
And then I do want to say the center market this year is very weak. Like it is one of the weakest center markets we've ever seen. The next center on the market, that's of name, is Adam Henrique from Anaheim.
Probably, yeah. I will say this too. There's also been calls for Lawton in Philly. I don't know if Philly's going to do that though. I probably would put Lawton above Henrique, to be honest.
Yes, but I would too. But I'm just saying, if you go to all the trade bait boards, Henrique's the next guy on the list.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I feel like this deadline, we're going to see guys who you don't expect to be traded because of the weak market.
Yeah, it's not very strong this year.
The winger market is really good this year, The center market is not.
100%. All right, moving on. So we had a coach get fired since we last talked, and it really shouldn't surprise anyone that this coach got fired. It is Todd McLellan of the Los Angeles Kings. After a 3-7-5 January and going from a team that was essentially battling for first in the Pacific, even McLellan too was like a Jack Adams candidate, to going to a wild card team and McLellan getting fired. And as well as this too, we were heading into the season where McLellan, if the Kings lost in the first round again, he'd probably be let go. And I was thinking about it too. The funny thing is, about 30 minutes before it happened, I was thinking when I was writing down my notes for a video that I was going to post this weekend. I was like, McLellan's going to get fired sooner or later. Like it's just going to happen, and then he gets fired. So yeah, it's another one of those instances where I think a coach lost the room. I think a lot of it played there too, and I think that he was a good coach. He did well. He did good things there in Los Angeles, but I think it was just about time for him to go, to be honest. So
Todd McLellan is just known for being stubborn. He was stubborn at the end of his tenure in San Jose. He was very stubborn in Edmonton. And then I think this is a moment where, like you said, he lost the room with his stubbornness. But I'm going to quote my brother, Dylan, who was a Kings fan. When I told him on, he said, quote, "Fucking finally."
Yeah.
The Kings have just been brutal. It's not how they've been losing, it's the way they've been losing games. They've blown multiple leads in these games. Like over this stretch, I think they've had four or five games in a row where they had a 2-goal lead and they blew it.
Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah, and he deserved to be fired. I think he was one of the coaches that were like, hey, this guy's been fired. There's been a lot of coaches let go, though, this year, I will say.
Yeah. Transitioning from the Kings, there was actually a coach that got fired earlier on before this week.
Yes.
Lane Lambert got fired by the Islanders and Patrick Waugh taking over. What are your thoughts on that?
I found out this at Target in Fort Lauderdale, and it was like, what the hell?
I found it out while I was at work. I was like, oh, interesting.
Because Patrick Waugh has always been linked to Ottawa, so I'm like, God damn it, Steve, you fucked up. And I think I haven't really watched much Islanders hockey since the firing, so I can't say how it's going right now. But I think it's a good move for the Islanders for sure. He was going to get back in the NHL sooner rather than later.
I think in the long term it's a good move, but recently they've been struggling. And I was thinking about this too, not to go all over the place here, but the Metropolitan, man, is such a fraud division. I actually cannot fathom this. How in the name of God are the Islanders fourth? It's those overtime points. They have 12 overtime points.
Oh, extra time merchants?
Yes. They're just such frauds. It's actually insane. The other teams are decent. Philadelphia is kind of fallen off. But every other team's kind of decent besides Columbus. But oh my God, that division is such a fraud compared to the Atlantic. There's going to be 5 teams in the Atlantic that make it.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this. And I've said this before. I don't think I've said it on here, though. I think the loser point is the dumbest thing in hockey. I think you need to go off by records now. I think you could just scrap the point system completely. You do it like the NBA does. You do it off your record.
Go by freaking.
Go by wins. Go by wins. If you have more wins, you deserve to be higher than them.
I'd be interested to see what how the PWHL system would work in the NHL, though. I think that would be interesting.
When I first opened up Chell this year for a franchise, I actually did the PWHL system. I did the 3-2-1. So that's how they do it in minor hockey up here. So, and it just, the result I got was, wow, these point totals are out of control.
Yeah, I know teams are probably getting 160, 170 points.
Teams can get 80, 90 points missing playoffs. God damn, I just feel like they need to do something about the loser point. That's just me because you can't I think last year Calgary had 16 overtime losses.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
to get 16 points off losses is ridiculous.
Yeah. We do have a few other things we need to talk about. There's a few things we missed, some big things that we probably should at least touch base on.
You know
Before
what?
we get into the All Stars. The Hockey Canada situation. What do you got to say?
I was going to say something else, but we'll do this first. So,
so 5 players from the 2018 World Junior Team are facing repercussions. They've been arrested. They're in for questioning. The trial is expected to happen in 2 years, so in 2026. Those players are Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, Ty Smith. I saw them today. Cal Foote. Why am I blanking? Formanton and Dubé. So, I'm not going to say a lot because a lot of it we don't really know right now. We'll know on Monday a little bit more, but as of right now, we don't know a ton besides just the players. I hope that the situation gets solved the right way. I hope the players, if they were involved, are held accountable. And I just hope that it ends in a happy resolution, if that makes any sense.
If they're guilty of what they're accused of, then they deserve to give them the book, lock them, throw away the key. It's like I said, it's a very dark moment in hockey. It's something you don't really want to talk about, don't really want to see, especially now with the Me Too movement and everything like that. But this is just I'm not going to say the report details, but if you've read the report details, you know this is a very, very, very serious allegation. It's a very, very serious crime, and it's sad because yes, these were kids when they're doing it, but the repercussion of this just outweighs that. It's a sad moment, and I hope the victim can find peace at this time.
Yeah, I find it very disgusting. But I hope the victim finds peace. I don't really want to go too in depth with it because it's a very controversial topic. It's a bad look for the game too, especially.
Yes.
I hope that it ends, and it's not going to end for a while, which is the unfortunate.
We're going to hear about this in the next 2.5 years.
But it's the system. It's the way the law works sometimes. Sometimes you.
And I do want to say just one more thing on this. We have I've seen this on just Instagram, X, just YouTube. People who are just still defending players after this has happened. Just respectfully, I know we get attached to players, but respectfully, you need to shut the fuck up. Now's the time to just not speak.
I also think that, even if these players aren't guilty, they're probably never going to play in the NHL again.
They're probably going to be, blackballed from the NHL. Let's go over to Europe. I mean, if they're not guilty, they deserve to get another shot. But if they are guilty, like I said, they have fun in jail. And that's all I'm going to say on this topic, and I think that we've covered that enough right now.
Yeah. All right. Moving on now to another thing that was announced, which is probably
what I want to talk about.
Which is probably a PR move. The NHL may be going to Utah eventually, sooner rather than later. The owner of the Utah Jazz has submitted a formal request for the NHL to go to Salt Lake City. LeBlock, you wanted to talk about this, so what are your thoughts on it?
Gary, you want to speed this shit up? I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of waiting. I've done my part, but I think Utah is an excellent market for hockey. It's an excellent market for the game, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it's cold. There's mountains, and minor hockey has thrived there. Minor hockey has thrived in Utah. I think it's a great spot for Utah. But I also want to say this: I think 32 teams is enough teams. But if they want to go to 36, I'm not the league, but I just feel like
I don't know. I feel like they can. It's going to be hard to build 36 competitive teams.
Yes, and I think if they do that, you need to expand the playoff format at least.
I feel like they will. I feel like if they go to 36, I feel like they will. This is a whole massive conversation, but I feel like they probably would expand the playoff format. If they were to expand to 36, they'd probably do something. I don't know if they add more games, but they probably would do something like a wild card round.
They probably do what the NBA does, where they have the play-in tournament.
Yes. Something
But
like
yeah,
that.
going back to Utah, I think Utah is an excellent market, and I really do think it could be successful. And you have natural rivalries with Arizona and Vegas. It's all in that and Colorado actually. They're all in that four corner area. So that could be like a huge, like I could be like an outdoor game series, like the Four Corner Challenge or some shit like that.
There we go. We're just making ideas for the NHL. Great marketing.
But also other names came up in expansion too. We heard about Atlanta. We heard about Cincinnati, which is a new name. It's that new. Then we heard about Kansas City, and you always hear about Quebec.
I feel like Quebec would be better with like an AHL team.
I think me and you talk about this. It's like just give them an AHL. Like we need to have like a compromise. Like
because like with the NHL, I feel like there is somewhat of a market there, but I feel like a lot of the time it's just going to be like away fans, more or less.
It's
Canadian.
It's not easy to get to Quebec City from the American markets. That's the one thing, because you have to go to Montreal. Like there's no flights to Quebec City from an American airport. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure they only have a regional airport, and their only way to get there is by you can drive from New York State up. You can drive from Vermont. You can fly to Montreal and take the train. It's
there's
now I know we're hockey podcast. Now I'm just talking about like my travel routes, but
Leblock travel. But I don't know.
It's not easy to get
even
to
as someone who their platform is based off of a Quebec like name, like Nordic 97, Quebec Nordiques, I don't even think it's really a good idea. Would I love to see it? Absolutely, but it's not a good idea.
Yeah, I always say I would love to see it happen, but realistically, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, I think an AHL team would be fine. I would for that team.
NHL loves to expand to markets that are untapped. You look at Quebec City, that Quebec market has been tapped, it's been drained.
Unless if it's Atlanta.
Yes. Montreal is right there. Montreal makes the league a lot of money. And do you think they want to split up that money with Quebec City? I don't really think they do. You look at a market like Atlanta where there's no teams near Atlanta other than you have, I think the closest team would be Tampa or Nashville.
Probably.
Then you look at a place like Cincinnati where Cincinnati, okay, it says Cincinnati, Ohio. It's like Windsor, bordering Detroit. It's like right next to Kentucky. That would be the base.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, and then
I've seen a lot of Columbus networks speak out against that, though.
It would make a good rivalry, though. Columbus-Cincinnati would be a good rivalry.
People say that, or they're saying that it would kill the Columbus market.
It would kill it because Columbus is a college town. It's not a city center town.
Columbus is also not very good.
You look at Cleveland. Cleveland's like that's a metro center. That's a sports town. Columbus is known for the Ohio State University, and that's basically about it. They're known for being a they're a business center and a college town. While Cincinnati is a blue-collar working town that has sports teams that have been successful more recently than past. But it would, you could say it would kill Columbus's base, but it would split. Like it's hard to say right now, but
I feel like it would help hockey a little bit.
Yeah, I think it would help grow the game in Southeast Ohio for sure. And then I have always liked the idea of Kansas City getting a hockey team. They have an arena ready for them to play in. I think it's called the Sprint Center.
Yeah.
It's like 6 hours from St. Louis. He creates a rivalry with that, a battle of Missouri. And I think Kansas City and Utah would be like my top two right now. And I'm in Houston. I'm still not sold on Houston, but those two are my top two because I feel like those two places when they're sports teams, the Jazz, the Royals, and the Chiefs, they're diehard fans. Diehards. And I feel like they would actually support it.
What are the Jazz in? Am I losing my...
Utah.
Oh, okay. I'm... Sorry. Anyways. Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. You have any more thoughts on expansion?
I feel like the league has to take a look around and just really think this through.
They would also be the first team out of all the pro leagues to go beyond 32.
Yeah, because the NFL is 32.
I think it'd be very interesting. The NFL might actually do it before hockey, though. I heard they were looking at somewhere.
There's a little bit of talk about NFL expansion, but it's all off topic. But the NFL does expand. They have to do 8 teams. They can't just do one team. They got to do 8 teams because it would really fuck up the divisions. But that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Anyways, we're going to move into more recent news. Before we get into the Olympic stuff, because I know that's very exciting to talk about. Let's talk about the All-Stars. First off, who cares? Second, Tate McRae's hot, and that's it. That's pretty much it. I don't give a shit about anything else.
I'll be honest. I've seen on Twitter Toronto fans. Oh, it's the best all year. I did watch the Saturday night. I'll be honest. That shit's
Matthews getting MVP is definitely rigged because it's the home team.
And I will say this. And here's the thing. Look, I'm wearing a Senators shirt right now. DeBrincat deserved that shit. Let's be real. DeBrincat, I followed along. I didn't watch it, but DeBrincat deserved that shit. Come on.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
And people need to stop acting like the All-Star game is this festival. The NHL has the worst All-Star game out of any of the major professional sports.
I haven't watched the All-Star game since 2019.
Ever since they went to this 4-team nonsense, I just was disinterested. And
I don't like it.
I don't like it. I only care about who gets picked for the All-Star game. That's it.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I will watch it.
I'll be honest, us as fans, we get so mad about who gets picked for the All-Star game. And then but we will not watch the All-Star game. We will not.
Yeah. Because it's just it's all for the media. It's just so
it's for the children. That's what
let me be honest. If the All-Star game was in Philadelphia, where I live, I would go. I would love to go see it and love to go see everything. If it's not in my city, I don't fucking care.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I have a story. So I was at the Red Wings Senators game the night before. I had to train into Toronto to get a connection back home, and there was so much security. Because to get to the bus station in Toronto, you have to go through Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah.
So I had to be detoured out. I swear I took to spend half an hour walking around the arena trying to get home. Dude, I just want to get to my bus. Come on. And yeah, basically, and the All-Star game is just, I don't think it's a sham because I'm sure some people really care about it. People really like it, but I'll be honest. If I was in Toronto, going to the All-Star game, maybe I would care, but I just don't care.
Yeah, I think again, like I said, if it was in my city, I would be able to go. I'd be able to see all these players from around the league in person. But watching it on TV is just so boring.
And I usually only watch me and my brother only watch Saturday night and then not watch the game. Saturday night, or what do they do? Friday night now. It's so bad. Like
the skills comp, I can't. I can't
anymore. The skills comp used to be the best thing about it, and they killed it. Hey, remember when every player had to participate in the skills? No, let's only do 12. Only do 12, and let's have 4 of them be from the Leafs.
Well, yeah. I will say this about that. I will defend the Leafs on this. That was because it's in Toronto.
Yeah, I know, and I get that, but still, some people watch the skills to see their favorite player or from their team play.
It is crazy how some of the teams weren't represented. Now, Chicago, I get because it's Bedard, and then there's not a whole lot of others. But it's just
Bedard was there.
Someone. He was there. I don't know. I didn't watch, but he was there. You have no idea how thankful, though, when I found out they weren't doing an All-Star next year. I was awesome. You know what I would love? If they just scrapped the game, scrapped the comp, and just picked All-Stars. I'd be fine with that.
Like Midway All-Stars?
Yeah, I would be fine with that.
I would like if they did the All-Star game.
I would never watch the All-Stars.
If they did the All-Star game near the end of the year, I think then
the NFL where they took a week off and then between the conference finals and the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
finals.
no, imagine that. Let's stop the playoffs and let's go to the All-Star game.
I would hate that so much. You have no idea.
No, like imagine this. Like, okay, so you take the players who are all stars, except for the two teams in the finals, and then they just have. And I think the All-Star game would be much better if everybody was just piss drunk. I'm not gonna lie. Like, just give during the draft, give everybody like a 40, and the draft team got to finish the 40.
Oh my god. Yeah.
No, but on a serious note, yes, the All-Star game needs work. We say this every year. Like last year's All-Star game, the only good thing about last year is the jerseys were fire.
The only good thing about this year is probably Tate McRae. That's about it.
That's about it, yeah. She had a good performance.
Cole Sillinger, you fumbled the bag. Anywho, moving on into the next topic.
I was going to say, Cole Sillinger, how do you sleep at night?
It's funny because I've seen so many memes on
the memes are crazy. Like,
I already know because if I was Sillinger, I'd be like, I would just delete Twitter. I would delete Instagram. I'd be like,
and the thing is, there was a tweet or like an Instagram comment where he comments like, "Oh, it's all false," and like, you keep telling yourself, bud.
Jump starting her career. Anyways, so in replacement of the All-Star game for 2025, the NHL is doing a 4 nations face-off tournament to replace the All-Stars, which will include USA, Canada, Sweden, and Finland. There isn't a whole lot of information on this. I'm sure there will be soon, but oh, wait, never mind. There's information right here. It will take place from February 12th to February 20th. It will host Montreal will host and Boston will host. Sorry. English is hard. There will be 7 games total, 23-man rosters, must be on NHL contracts, 3-game round robin, and then the 2 teams will advance to a winner-take-all. Not sure what the prize is, probably just a trophy and probably $1 million, because why not? LeBlock, what are your thoughts on this? I think it's a good idea, but the four is kind of...
Yeah, I say it's a good idea, but like only having the 4 is kind of stupid. Like,
here's what I was thinking, and there was a few things that I was thinking about. I think it'd be a cool idea if they did these 4 nations at the top, but then they also had like lower level nations competing. So if they did this, let's say every single year, like basically you would compete, and then the lowest team that was in this nation would get relegated, and then the team that won the lower level got bumped up. So let's say Finland gets relegated and Germany moves up. That'd be kind of cool. I still think it's a little bit weird, but it
would be cool. But I don't think the NHL is smart enough to handle that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. That is a lot of work.
I feel like they should it really excludes guys who are from the not so hockey nations of hockey, like Germany, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia. Even like I know Russia's like it's a taboo right now, but even Russia.
Yeah.
Switzerland.
So,
I feel like they should have done a kind of like the World Cup of hockey where they had like Canada, US, Finland, Sweden, then they have like a team North America, and they have like a team Europe.
I think that'd be a cool idea.
Yeah, or at least
think that would be better, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it would be better, and I think the NHL the NHL sometimes has good ideas. They just don't know how to execute them properly, and this is one of those ideas.
It's kind of funny sometimes to think about that. But the better news, and I feel like the reason why they did this was to preview 2026, because the Olympics are coming back. They're letting the NHL go back to the Olympics in 2026 and 2030. I'm assuming that following that, they're going to let them go to future Olympics. But the 2026 will be in Torino, Italy, and then the 2030 will be in Nice, France. So
Nice.
Or Nice. Well, nice. Who cares? But anyways, great news. I have never seen the NHL in the Olympics since I became a fan. So it's going to be very interesting to see this.
Call me old, but I remember seeing it every year. I remember seeing it every Olympics. It was great. I remember the golden goal.
When was the last time they did it?
2014.
Oh yeah, that was way before I started watching hockey.
Yeah, in Sochi.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Olympic hockey is back, and I used to, in the words of Philadelphia legend Meek Mill, I used to pray for times like these.
Oh yes, I used to pray for times.
I think it's gonna be great. It's good, and they always say grow the game. What grows the game better than the Olympics? on the center stage of the world.
Yep. 100%.
And you look at and like it's fun to like mock like the teams, what's gonna happen, but like you don't tell me you don't want to see McDavid, Bedsy, and Crosby on the same team.
Oh yes, please. That's gonna be so much fun.
And
I actually cannot wait.
You want to see Matthews with Kyle Connor and Demko and Hellebuck.
Yes.
And
This may be something we do in the future. This may be something we do in the future. We may do like a Canada team, a USA team. We may do that. For the Four Nations, we absolutely will. Maybe that's another episode topic, but we definitely probably will do that in the future.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that. That'll be fun. Anyways, that's all I got for news. Do you want to get into the draft stuff?
Let's get into the trade stuff first.
Trade stuff? Oh, trade deadline. You're right.
Preview.
So yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do each division. We're going with the Atlantic for this one. If you missed 2 weeks ago, we did the Pacific. I think we're doing the Atlantic this episode.
Yeah, we're doing the Atlantic because the Atlantic is it's my favorite division.
Oh yeah, it's the best division. But anyways, let's start off with the Boston Bruins. I forget how we did this. Did we do like needs and what and
needs
and
needs and what we said they would do. So Boston, buy.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of it.
The Boston Bruins are going to buy. They have to buy. They're in win now mode right now. You need to buy.
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot to it. They need to just buy in and try and go all the way. I think that I don't know if there's a whole lot that they're going to really want. There's not a whole lot they're really going to give up either, besides probably their first round pick in 2025.
They don't have it. They don't have that pick.
Oh wait, do they? They don't.
They don't. What
pick do they have then?
2026.
Oh yeah, 26.
The Red Wings have a 2025 pick.
That's right. You're right. So yeah, 26. That's essentially what I'm going to see. But haven't heard of Boston hasn't been in the rumor mill that much though. I haven't.
They're in the rumor mill for Lindholm, but like I said,
that's about it.
Boston doesn't really can't. Boston. Sorry, the dogs are barking. My bad. Boston doesn't have a lot of assets to give up.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. That's what's going to affect them this year. That's why I don't think they're going to do a whole lot, even though they are probably going to buy.
Yeah, like the guys that look on this, like their only trade bait is like guys who are like young, and the guys that are young are looking at guys like maybe an Oscar Steen, Jacob Lauko.
But you don't want to give those guys up. You don't want to give the younger
players like
up.
For Boston,
they're in a little bit of a pickle.
Your only prospect you have really is like Beecher and Lysell.
That's about it.
And if you want, and I don't think Boston might look at this and say, "Hey, the center market's pretty weak. We don't really need any wingers." I think 50-50 we'll get a winger, but like we don't need any major wingers. We can go after like lower level guys.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Anywho, moving on to Buffalo. Buffalo probably just selling, but Buffalo
sells.
Yeah, more or less. They're in a strange situation. They don't have a whole lot to give up. Casey Middlestat is a name that I've seen.
I've seen that name out there too, and I would love a Casey Middlestat on my team.
It's unfortunate, but he's probably going to be the guy that gets moved.
Victor Olofsson's a name I've seen out there as well. He has 1 year left on his. He's UFA after this year. He's a guy who's definitely could get moved. You look at guys like maybe they move out a guy like. No, that's about it. I think that's all he'll give up.
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot there.
Yeah, maybe you trade out a Ukko-Pekka Lakonen, but I doubt that.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Buffalo's in a weird spot. To be honest with you,
Buffalo's just in a. I don't want to say they're in a bad spot. They're just in a road bump. They're in a roadblock. It's kind of like where Ottawa is, where like they both had expectations. They just got hey, you got to go around, take a little detour.
I'd say so. Detroit. Detroit. I feel
Detroit.
Conservative buy.
I feel like here's the thing. Detroit. I feel like either it depends on. I think Stevie Eisman's going to do this like right before the deadline, like a week before. They're
Depends on
either
how the
going.
month goes.
They could. I don't think they sell. I think they're not going to sell. They're in a playoff spot right now. They don't sell. Either they stand pat, or they conservatively buy.
I feel like standing pat might be a better option, in my opinion.
Yeah,
because I feel like, well, first off, they're going to try and re-sign Kane. They're not going to move Kane. That would make zero sense to even sign him if you're just going to move him. So I definitely think that he's probably going to stay. I can't think of any other guys they could really move. So, like, I'm probably just going to say they stand pat. They haven't been really interested in that many other players either.
I've heard for Toronto out there. That's really about it, though. And Hanifin
and Chychrun, I've heard too. But
I doubt
we'll get into Chychrun. We'll get into Chychrun. But yeah, I haven't heard a lot from Detroit. I really enjoyed them this year, though. They're a very fun team to watch. So I definitely hope that. I actually do hope they make the playoffs. But for sure, they're going to be probably staying pat.
The only way they sell is if they go on a massive losing streak this month.
Yeah, they have to just fall
off. Yeah, and I don't see them falling off. I think Detroit's a good team.
They have they have a big point lead though on some of the other teams, so
that's why I think
not just in the Atlantic, but in the Metro too.
Yes, so I think like Detroit's team. I like their team, but it's not perfect. They could use some upgrades, especially on the wing and on the defense. But
I don't think they should be.
I think they shouldn't be in a rush. Detroit, unlike the two previous teams you mentioned, Detroit has assets. They have a lot of assets.
They do.
So if they want to buy, they could go for it. But I don't think now is the time to go for it.
Yeah, I don't think this year's the year to do that necessarily.
I feel like
they just direction they're moving in.
They go stand pat and they make playoffs. It's kind of like, hey, we're happy to be here, kind of thing.
Yeah, more or less. Florida. I think Florida buy.
Florida buy, but they don't have any assets.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of assets. So that's the biggest thing. They're kind of similar to Boston in that area.
Yeah, Florida doesn't have a first-round pick till 2026, and that pick is also conditional.
So
they have, it's actually Montreal's pick.
It is. Ironically, that's the next team.
So
but yeah, Florida. I think Florida wants to make cap space for Reinhart.
Yes, I feel like they're going to move some guys out
until later on in the season, later on in the off season.
Yeah, I don't see them trading anybody out though. I think their team is. They'll try and get some low-end guys, maybe, but I don't see them going for a big fish.
I agree. Yeah. Montreal, I think sells. I think we've already seen a lot of that.
We saw Monahan go this week. I think Montreal is in a sell. You see the market, Montreal's like, hey, I like that. So
I think their phones are going to be ringing a lot.
Yes. Went woos.
Guys like Primo, Allen, Matheson, even Josh Anderson,
Tanner Pearson could be a name as well. Pearson, you could see guys like maybe Jesse Alonen gets dealt as well.
Yeah, Montreal has some interesting names, but I think that
Mike Matheson's name's out there too, though.
Yeah, I will say this with Montreal: there's been some good progress this year in the rebuild. But you want to get some more assets.
Montreal's, I've watched a lot. I watch a lot of Montreal games. They're a fun team to watch. They're scrappy. They'll put up a fight. They're bad, but they're competitively bad.
There's a lot of no name guys on the roster that actually work really well together, and the games are actually pretty entertaining, which is something we couldn't say last year for the majority of last year's games.
All Montreal games go to overtime. I swear.
All Islander games go to overtime. It's like they're the Islanders of the Atlantic. Anyways, Ottawa Senators sell
everything.
I'm gonna just sit back and let Leblock go. All I'm gonna say is they sell Chychrun, Tarasenko, Kubalik. All just get them all out.
I feel like, and I think I've told you this multiple times. Tarasenko gone, Kubalik gone. I think Chychrun is a maybe. It's not a 100%.
The red offer comes along.
I think that's what's been said. If they get an offer they can't refuse, I think he's gone. But I don't think they're actively shopping Chychrun. I think they're just listening to offers.
Yeah.
But Kubalik gone. Tarasenko, gone. Brandstrom might be gone too.
Yeah, that was talked about.
Yes. Ottawa is going to sell, and I think they're going to have to be. They need these moves to pay off. They cannot afford to have a bad trade-off, a bad move.
Yeah, I agree. Tampa, I think buys, but there isn't a whole lot of assets. I think that there isn't a whole lot of players I could say on Tampa that get moved. I think Tampa's more or less just buying in. They're probably going to trade draft picks again.
Tampa doesn't really have any draft picks, I don't think.
Yeah, so
once again, you're looking at low end guys. Cause I think Tampa's also Tampa has no cap space.
Yeah, so I think it wouldn't surprise me if Tampa stays pat or they make a move where it involves a big player, but obviously we'll find out.
Once again, Tampa has no first round.
Connected to Sean Walker, but that's going to cost you a first round pick there, Mr. Tampa.
Yes. And they have no first round pick till 2026.
Yes, indeed. So no Sean Walker for you. I'm going to be honest. If the Jets can, if the Habs can get a first for Monahan, the Flyers can get a first for Walker.
Oh, absolutely.
Just saying. But anyways, Toronto, last team.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Toronto buys in. They get Rasmus Ristolainen from Philadelphia, and everything's good.
No. It's gonna be Boone Jenner.
Boone Jenner. Stefan Noason. How about that? Barabano.
Toronto. Here's the thing about Toronto. Like, if Dubas was still there, I'd say they're going for it. They're going for it. Living in Calgary didn't do anything. Like, he would not buy at all.
I think it could be maybe Toronto media pressures him to do something.
Probably.
Really sure. That's me talking out my ass. I have no idea.
I mean, I feel like True Living has something to prove. He has assets to give away. Toronto has to buy. I think they go out and I think they try and buy a goalie. And I look at a guy, and I hate to freaking say it because I don't want it to happen. You look at a guy like Yushi Saros.
I think they're going to consider it. Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, that concludes our deadline talk. We'll get into the Metro next episode. I think we did the Pacific the episode before.
Yes, we'll do. I think we'll do the Central. We'll flip a coin. We'll see.
Yeah, 2 divisions. We'll find out.
Yeah, all right.
Anyways, our last topic here, I thought it'd be a little bit fun. We're gonna do a joint draft. So basically, what that means is me and LeBlock are gonna draft together. So I'm gonna go at number 10. LeBlock's gonna go at number 9, and so on and so forth.
I'm just going to share my screen.
For the audio listeners, we will say the teams, but the video listeners, you'll be able to see this.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
So I already did I didn't do these picks. I just did the where the teams pick before we started this. And out of all teams, Arizona.
Yes, sir.
One of the goddamn lottery. So after that, we're gonna have Evan pick first.
Are we going from 1 to 10 or 10 to 1?
We're gonna go 1 to 10. So you're gonna pick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Number 1, I think it's pretty obvious. We'll go with Macklin Celebrini. He's been tearing up this year in BU. I think he's the undisputed first overall pick. I don't think there's a whole lot else to say. I think he's just the right guy.
Yeah, I think that's weird, and I think that's perfect actually because I think Celebrini, he's the consensus.
Yeah, more or less. There's always a consensus, unless if it's 2022.
Now, if I am the Chicago Blackhawks, who do I want with? I look at this as who do you want with Bedard? And I think there's one guy I really want with Bedard. And he's actually on the board right now for Chicago right there. I'm going to take Ivan Demidov. I feel like he is the best partner for Bedard. He's tearing it up right now in Russia. Like, he is tearing it up against grown men.
Yeah.
And, like, you see those stats, 45 points, 23 games. Overseas, that's pretty incredible. Do I think Demidov will drop because of politics? Maybe, but I just feel like this is the best place for him to go.
I agree. Number 3, going to the San Jose Sharks. I'm going with Artyom Levshunov, the first defenseman. Now, I will say, when you look at a lot of these picks, there is a lot of defensemen. It's really a defensive draft class. So Levshunov going to San Jose, really wanting to stack up that blue line, make him the next Erik Karlsson. Not in San Jose, but the next Karlsson in Ottawa. But yeah, you want him to be a really solid player. 26 points in 27 games played. Has been great in the NCAA. Has had a really strange path. Born in Russia, goes to the United States Hockey League, and then goes to college. Interesting path, but regardless, Levshunov at 3 to San Jose.
Let's get a fact check you there. He's actually from Belarus.
Oh, my bad. Not from Russia, Belarus. I should know that because I made a video on him a few days ago.
Yeah, I love Artem Levshunov. I'm wearing the hat because of Artem Levshunov. I got a Michigan State Spartans hat on for the auto listeners. Yeah, I feel like he's having a great year over in East Lansing at MSU. So he's in my board. He's my number 1 defenseman in the draft. So yeah, I have nothing but praise for Artem Levshunov. So yeah, Anaheim. It sucks because I was actually going to take Levshunov for Anaheim. I thought you were going to go with a forward for San Jose. So I look at Anaheim, and I'm going to go off the board a little bit. I think Anaheim, they just traded away Jamie Drysdale. You know who they're going to get? A right shot defenseman, Zane Parikh out of Saginaw.
Wouldn't surprise me. I think I've talked about Parikh. He's a really solid offensive player. Let me read off my numbers here real quick. Elite offensive sense. He's really aggressive as a defenseman overall, so wouldn't be a bad pick there for Anaheim.
And that's me drafting off position. Obviously, I don't think Parikh would go that high, but I think him and Anaheim makes too much sense.
Yeah, I agree. Columbus. I think this is when Cole Yzerman goes. Yzerman is in the draft a lot. Great player, horrible skating. That's the biggest thing. He's a great player, has just not had the best skating skills, and that's what's really going to make him drop overall. 55 points in 33 games played, though, is great, but still, the skating is making a lot of people concerned about him.
He also has an attitude problem, I've been told. A lot of teams, players do drop when they have bad attitudes, and you've seen it. Cole Caulfield coming out of the draft, who was told he had a not-so-great attitude. That's why he fell, and it was his size. And Cole Caulfield reminds you a little bit of Yzerman, but if Cole Caulfield grew to full size.
True.
He's one-dimensional. His skating, it needs work. I see why he's dropping. I think Columbus is the spot he goes, though. Don't think he drops past Columbus.
Yeah, I think Columbus is 100% going to take him. Number 6, Ottawa. Go LeBlanc.
Now, if I was the Ottawa Senators, I would be drafting a right shot defenseman. Since both of my choices are off the board, basically, I'm going to go with the best player available, and that is Caden Lindstrom out of Medicine Hat.
Yeah, Lindstrom. I had him as high as 3 on my list. I think he's a very underrated guy. Has done well with Medicine Hat. Has a lot of potential.
And if I was Ottawa, even Sam Dickinson is an option here too. Same with Anton Cilia. But I feel like if you're Ottawa and both the guys you want are off the board, you got to go best player available. And I think Caden Lindstrom is the best player available right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And
number 7 is my boy Sam Dickinson. For those who don't know, that is my last name. He's not related to me. He might be. Let's take the blood test. But yeah, I think Dickinson would do great for Minnesota. Very stacked defensive core there once you get Dickinson in there. So, and the funny thing is the one year where a guy with my last name, both my teams are decent. Now, I'm saying that when Arizona's number 1 on this list. But unless if Arizona keeps falling off, they're not going to be high enough to pick Dickinson. So,
yeah, I think Dickinson to the Wild is a sleeper pick, good move. That's a sneaky pick at 7, and I love every minute of it.
Stacked blue line. That's all I'm going to say. Stacked defense. Number 8.
Montreal. Now, I'm going to say this with the biggest irony in my voice. Last year was a stacked forward draft. Who did the Habs pick?
Defenseman, David Reinbacher.
So, in a stacked defensive draft, who are the Habs going to take?
Defenseman. By the way, for those who weren't there, Me and LeBlock experienced one of the greatest moments in hockey TikTok history, where the Habs picked David Reinbacher after Sharpie 74 said that multiple times that, oh yeah, the Habs are taking Michkov. The Habs are going to pick a forward. They're going to take Michkov. And we were, it's so funny. It's so funny looking back on it. It's my favorite moment ever. Because we both said to him, we're like, yeah, your team's probably going to pick.
You're taking David Reinbacher.
Or Reinbacher. And he's like, oh, no, we're not. You're stupid. They're going to take Michkov. And then we hear it, and his reaction is golden. It's just, if you guys haven't seen it,
he's on his TikTok page. He's got to pin that video.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. But anyways, number 8.
So in a draft full of stacked defensemen, I think the Habs go with a forward, and I'm going to take Berkeley Cadden of Spokane.
That's the next best forward on the board. I don't disagree with that. I think that'd be a good pick for the Habs. I think a forward would be smart, too. It's smarter than a defenseman for the Habs.
Yeah, and some offense. You look at what Montreal's done. I think Cadden fits their fit. At his potential, he can fit their play style of Marty St. Louis very, very well. So I do like Cadden. He's a 5'11" from Spokane. He's got 75 points in 45 games. He's a big goal scorer, and he's a playmaker, too. So I really do like that pick for Montreal.
Yeah. Number 9, Buffalo. I think Buffalo, you look at them, they're a team that probably does need a defenseman because their defense has been an issue this year. I'm taking Zeev Buium as the guy that's on the list there, torn it up for the NCAA. And I think that's Denver. Is it Denver?
That is Denver. He plays at Denver. He was really good at the World Juniors for the United States.
The World Juniors.
And that really raised his stack up. Like, when I was doing my mock drafts before the World Juniors, like, dude, you got to have Z Bruneman here. I want to be honest, I did not know who that man was.
I didn't know who he was either. I recognize his name in the World Juniors, but, now that I made my mock draft on YouTube, now I know a lot of these prospects. I'm glad I did that before we did this because I have no idea who the hell half these guys even are.
Yeah, so then after the World Juniors, like, sir, I wasn't familiar with your game.
Yeah, I agree. All right, and finally, number 10.
Number 10, I want to be funny here and go TJ Ginla for Calgary, but I'm not going to do that.
I feel like it could happen.
It could happen, but I think if I am Calgary, I am salivating seeing Anton Siliev still on the board, and I'm going with him. Big body defenseman, 6'7" defenseman, big hitter. He's a tank. He's a tank, and honestly, I'm surprised me or you did not take him sooner. I'm a big fan of him. Every NHL team, every executive loves a defenseman above 6'5".
Yes, please. Yes, please. I would love a 6'7" guy on my team. Maverick Lamoureux for Arizona reminds me a lot of Siliev.
Yeah. So, and that is 10. I think we're going to take this mock draft here. We're going to post it on the page for everyone to see. And we'll have a picture of my face beside my picks, because I'm
of course
built like that.
But yeah, anyways, I believe that's all we have for this episode.
That is all. Yeah, that's all we have for the episode.
We don't want to go much longer because A, we've already reached an hour, and as well as that too, it's our first episode back in a while. We just want to get back into the groove. Next week we will be back. I am available. I'm not sure if LeBlock is, but I will be around to record.
We will be recording late because I'm going to the Sens Leafs game.
Oh, I'll probably be hanging out with my girlfriend, so I'll be late too. But anywho. Thank you all very much for listening or watching this episode of the Nordic Leblock podcast. Really hope you did enjoy it. Make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button down below, or if you're listening, give a good review, do all that good stuff. Follow the Twitter, follow the Instagram, and
tell your friends.
Thank you all.
Your friends need to know about this.
Tell your friends. Anyways, thank you all for watching or listening, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
We will see you later.
Ciao. Adios. Oh my God! Wait, no, wrong button.